Mixing texture packs with shaders can make Minecraft look absolutely insane. It completely changes the way the game feels, and today I'm checking out 7 different shader packs to see how they affect the texture pack that I will use. Each one does something pretty unique, whether it's different lighting, reflections, or even upscaling. I will be using the texture pack ROTR blocks and the 512x version to see how each shader impacts my performance and to see if my computer will go kaboom. And for some specific scenarios, like the upscaling one, I might use the 128x version to make the upscaling more noticeable. Let's start with one of our most popular, Complementary. So this is Complementary shaders, and you can see there's a little bit of lag spikes, and I'm noticing that mostly I'm limited by VRAM in this case for lag. You can see it has POM, which gives blocks depth. That's pretty common for all of the shaders today. And as you can see, it is pretty basic lighting, and it's a subtle-ish shader. As you can see, I'm going to be going around in this area and checking out some blocks like that lava pool and this wool for each of the shaders. As you can see, it has a pretty rough lighting mode, which means you can see each of the pixels individually. Some of them won't have that. It'll be similar but slightly different. As you can see, it still looks pretty good. It has shadows of you and all that. But yeah, it's pretty basic. Yeah, I am experiencing some lag spikes, which is really too bad, but that is a 512 texture pack with only 12 gigs of VRAM on a 4070. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm expecting. This one is just pretty basic. There's not a lot going on, and I really do like POM. I feel like it brings texture packs to life. But with that, now let's move on to our next texture pack. And our next one is called BSL. You can see that this one's pretty similar to Complementary, except it's more stylized and it still has the same lag spikes, which, you know, sucks. So yeah, I would definitely recommend if you're planning to run texture packs like 512x, I would probably get like a 700 XTX or like one of those Ryzen ones that has way more VRAM, because, you know, I am literally limited by VRAM. My GPU usage is 50%, but I am full on VRAM. This one's really cool since it's similar to Complementary, except it has more reflections. So if you like reflections, I would definitely choose this one over Complementary. Has a very similar look in the POM to Complementary. As you can see, it's just a bit brighter of a texture pack, I think, which if you like bright stuff and being able to see very clearly with like a gentle fog and a very bright light, this is a pretty great pack. But other than that, these are both mostly just separated by style. So if you like the style of BSL more than Complementary, I would have you choose BSL. But it is pretty bright, and of course these are all going to be running on the default medium settings, so you can probably get them to all to look much different. As you can see, those leaves are brighter than they were in Complementary. So yeah, with that was BSL. Now let's move on to the next shader pack, which is also pretty cool. So this one's called Rethinking Voxels, and it has a big emphasis on light, which is super duper cool. As you can see, it has like the whole path tracing kind of thing. I don't know, ray tracing. I'm not sure if it's ray tracing or path tracing, but you can see like the lights going up the side of the block, not just illuminating it. And it has what I think is called like block depth shadow. It's something along the lines of that. It means that blocks that have like depth can emit shadows. So as you can see, if I put say block here, you can now see that the side of the block is lit but the indent part wasn't, and that's super cool. So this is Rethinking Voxels. Again, super cool. You can see it's a very similar POM to the last one, and that's about it. So the next one we have is called Photon, and this is another shader, and it is one that has a different kind of naming scheme. It is about like the number of samples for the POM, which means that it looks blurrier since it only goes up to 80, and if samples and like the texture resolution are the same thing, that means that it goes to 80 while the others can all go to 512, which makes this one a lot blurrier, but it still looks pretty high res, so I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. This one also has quite a few reflections. As you can see, these are very sharp reflections. You can even make out the clouds, which is super duper cool. This is one of the ones where I would call it a soft lighting mode on the textures. That means that, as you can see, it is not super hard. But yeah, that is Photon. It looks super cool if you like it. I personally like the style of it. But with that, that's it for Photon, and here's one of the most famous shaders that has ever existed. So this is Seus PTGI HRR 3. It's a mouthful of a name. It looks amazing, and your computer's gonna explode if you run it. I think it looks absolutely amazing to run, and as you can see, everything looks amazing. I really like the shadows and the way it makes the textures look. I feel like it feels more realistic than the other ones. It's just that my computer is literally about to explode, and as you can see, it's kind of like watching a slideshow, but holy cow, look at those planks. They look so good, like with all the reflections and stuff. It has ray tracing, which I think is part of it. And again, like the wool, it has what I would call, I think it's a soft lighting mode. That means that it is like, you know, soft lighting. And that means that there are less sharp shadows and stuff is more curved. But that's it for the one. As you can see, it has a different texture for the iron block. And yeah, it has reflections, but my computer's about to explode. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we have is called Simply Upscaled. And I don't know what's going on with my skin, but this one is one that's supposed to upscale. So they say the textures. Now I have noticed some problems with it. As you can see, it just kind of makes them more blurry, and I will show you later. It also has some like weird stuff going on. But yeah, as you can see, like the upscaling, it doesn't seem to actually do anything. So I'm not sure what it upscales. I think when you just have the softness other than 0, it just makes it look, you know, more soft and like less just super rigid textures. But yeah, it's simply upscaled, not super lots going on. It's supposed to upscale. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but now let's go check out that stuff, like artifacting that I was talking about earlier, since it is kind of weird and I don't really like this one because of it. So yeah, as you can see, it is just a pretty basic one. It's supposed to upscale, it breaks my skin, but you can see there's these little triangles everywhere. If anyone knows why this is happening, feel free to comment down below and tell me, since I don't know why that's happening. It's super weird, but that's simply upscaled. Now this is our last one. This one is called Super Duper Vanilla, and if you want super duper reflections, this was the one for you. That is literally a freaking mirror. Like, what? The reflections on those iron blocks are insane. So this one just has super duper reflections, which is pretty impressive actually. So if you like reflections, I would definitely use this one, since like, holy cow, those are a lot of reflections. So yeah, that's Super Duper Vanilla, and it should be our last one, but I lied. We actually have one more that we have, and it is called Kappa. And yeah, here is Kappa. It looks pretty cool in my opinion. As you can see, it is what I would say just a mix of all three. It has some reflections from Super Duper Vanilla, and it has some of the textures of like Zeus and some of the, like, you know, lighting from Rethinking voxels. I would say it's not quite as good in each category as those ones are alone, but I would say it's a really nice compromise between all three. As you can see, it looks really good, and this is one of my personal favorites. Now if you go into Modrinth or Kurtzforge, I think it'll say it only goes to 1.21, but if you just like plop it in 1.21, it still works, which is nice because, you know, like, it works. That's good. That's a good thing. Yay, it works. So yeah, that is all of them. Now let's time to do our comparison slideshow.